Here we go again. Okay, today, Nostra Memoria Victor Sulla. So we've got the nominative, Sulla the victor, he'd been victorious in something. In our memory, this would be ablative, Nostra Memoria. Cum. So when Demapsium and Alios and others of his modi, of his type or nature, then we've got a bit of information here. Qui who had crevarented, they had increased or profited Malo Republic by the troubles, causing trouble in the Republic or doing detriment to the Republic. They had increased their own wealth or whatever. He, Sulla Victor, he usated the infinitive to be jugulari, to have their throat cut, it literally means, but they might add another method of killing them. So quiz, who would non-laudabat, who would not praise factum est, his deed or his judgment here, who wouldn't agree with Sulla. Homines scelestos and factitios. So I'm guessing they go together. So men who are scelestos, they do scelestos stuff, they are criminals, and factiosus, people who are in factions, not necessarily good types of factions. These people, qui who agitaverant, these people who stir up with seditions in the Republic, they stir up the Republic with their seditions. Merito, the adverb, they deserve, aebant, they were saying, nekatos, death. So the nekatos would go factiosus and scelestos. This homines here could be with these aebant. There are men who say this, or there are those who just say it, that whole section together. Criminal men and those in factions who are stir up with these seditions in the Republic, they deserve or merit to be killed. Okay, 33. Said Ieres, but this matter or circumstances was an initium, was a beginning, for what means was, of magna claudus, of great disaster. What could mean the slaughter here, when we're dealing with these factions and the scelestos people. For utai, we'll just have it as for the moment, quisque, anyone, a domum or villa, domum's usually a house in the city, a villa's often in the country or could be in the suburbs. Postremo, finally or in the end, a vase or vestment. These vases can be cups or other utensils, and the vestments, the clothing one wears. So if quisque, if someone is concupiverating, if anyone's desiring, the con in front just doesn't really mean much here. So if anyone's desiring the utensils or the things belonging to someone or the clothes of anyone, alicurious, it's also spelled with a Q. Dabat operahem, he will give it work, or it literally means he will give the work. Sometimes means pay attention, but it looks like he'll put in the work so that is he, not the person doing this, the person who wants his house or villa or utensils or clothes, he'll make sure that that person is numero esse, shall have been counted in those of the proscriptions, so that they get killed and you can steal this stuff. 34. Ita. So thus, Eli, those people, quibus, by which the Moors, the death of Dapsidius, so those people who, by the death of Dapsidius, furat, had been Laetitia. Looks like a female version of it, so they're happy at the death. This is probably just a noun in general, not a adjective or anything. So those who had been happy at the death, Paul Apostle afterwards, ipsi, which means themselves, that's a pronoun, they were trahibabantored, so they were dragged off. And nequi, neither was there a finis, this is an ending, of this gerund of the jugulanding, as we saw, jugularing means being put to death. So neither was an end of being put to death, prius quam, prior than Sulla, the guy here who was a victor, he was not until he had explivid, so he'd filled up all of his people, his omnis suis, with divitas, with riches. So when all these mates had been very enriched, and he was satiated, then there was a finish. There was an end to the killing. 35. Atque ego. And I hake these things, not in M. Tullius, not in Marcus Tullius, or neque his temporibus, nor in these times or circumstances do verior do I fear. So he's not fearing hake these things with Tullius. Said, but in Magna Civitate, in a great state or a great group of citizens, or community as they call it, there are multi and various ingenia sunt. So ingenia is your characteristics or your nature. So in a great city or area where they're at, there are many and various types of personalities. 36. Potest. It's possible, alia tempore, at another time, alia consul, nice use of commas, with another consul, alia just repeated because they're all in ablatives here, cui, to him, likewise with the nexusitus in menusit, so to him who might have an army in their control, in their hand, for falsum aliquid credi, so you might believe something false pro vero, if it's true, at another time with a different consul. And ubi, when hoc exemplo, this example, per decretum senatus, split with the genitive of the fourth declension, through a decree of the Senate, a consul, here we've mentioned one type of consul, so this could be a different type. One consul might duxerit his gladium, he might pull out his sword. This is when something false is believed instead of true. Anyway, so who, quiz, will statuette, who will make up a finem, dative to him, who will institute some reign on him to, or who will moderate a bit him. Moderating can mean rule or control him, and so who's going to institute some sort of definition of the end of his power or moderate him. So this is all one little section called 36. So it's able at one time, one consul who has an army under his control, to something false to be believed as true. And when this example has been decreed by the Senate, the consul can pull out his sword, who the hell's going to control him, etc. 37. We've now got a quote. Maiores nostrae, our ancestors, partes conscripti, this one is vocative, that's for the senators. Our ancestors, senators, neque, neither of a concili, neither of a plan, nor of audacia, of boldness, did they umquam ever eguererant. That's the shortened version of lacking there. So sometimes that can take ablative, here it's taking genitives. So our ancestors were never ever lacking any plan or boldness. Neque illis was their superbia, this is arrogance or being proud, neither did it obstat stand in the way of them. That's the dative. So neither did the arrogance block their way. Quo minus, it's used in a positive sense, can be used positively or negatively, whereas quin can only be used negatively. So the arrogance didn't stop them from aliena instituta. This is the institutions of outsiders or other states, and here's a verb controlling it. The arrogance or proudness didn't stop them from imitating alien institutions. Si modo, if only, proba erant, if they're upright or good in morals, maybe you might want to say. Okay, so I've set up a daily dictionary word for egio. It takes the ablative or genitive. To lack, want, or be without. To need, require. To desire, to long for, to want. And you have synonyms and all this other rubbish there, if you need it. So, where are we? 38. Arma entella. This is like swords and long distance weapons, like throwing stars. Not throwing stars, throwing javelins. Militaria. So it will be describing, say, military arms and weapons from the Samnitibus people, from the Samnites. The insignia magistratum, insignia of magistrates, their badges, official sort of things. From the Tuscus, they're Etruscans, I believe. Pleriqui means, for the most part, mostly they sumpserum. They took up these, so this is controlling both people. So they generally took up their arms and spears from the Samnites and the magistrates. You can look up what the magistrates do, there's different jobs they do, and from the Etruscans. Post remo, finally, or in short, quod what ubique everywhere was apud socius or hostis, was Idonium, videbator. So finally, whatever seemed, videbator, Idonium, suitable amongst the allies or the enemy, socius or hostis, with summo studium. With utmost zeal, you might want to say, they exequabator domi at home. They followed it up at home. So if they saw something good, either military things or amongst the magistrates, anything that came from ubique everywhere amongst their friends or allies, if it seemed suitable, they'd take it up to do at home. They were malleabanting. They preferred, which takes the infinitive, to imitate rather quam than to invidere, the bonus. So they preferred to imitate good things rather than invidiate them, to hate them or envy them. 39. Sed idem illo tempore, couple of pronouns there, but at the same time, or during the same period, they were imitating the morem, the mores, the customs of the Greeks, Graecae. So at the same time, they imitated the mores of the Greeks and animadvertibanting, in with the accusative. So they would punish towards their citizens. They would use a punishment of verbera bussing. They would punish people with beatings, basically, and they would take up concerning the condemnatus, those people who were condemned or found guilty, the summum supplicum, the greatest punishment, which would be death, I'm assuming. 40. Postquam. So after, or afterwards, the res publica, the republic, and all of it. It grew old, it had come to its the age of adolescence, you might want to say. It matured, and multitudinine, by the multitude of its civiums, of its citizens, factions, pretty much the same in English, value, they started to prevail or grow strong, circumvenerating the innocentes. So innocents are pretty much the same in English. Circumvenere means that, the innocent people have been circled around and abused, cut off from true justice, I'm guessing. And alia huis camotes, other things of this type of nature, coopere, began fury to happen. Tum, as a consequence, then the lex Porcia, that's a Porcian law, and aliqui leges, and other laws, parata sunt, were prepared or made, quibus legibus, by which laws permissum est, permission was given to the damnatus, to the condemned. They could have exilium, they could have exile. They had permission to have exile rather than death, I'm guessing. 41. Hanc ego causem, so I, that's the nominative, these causes, these reasons, which is explained, partus conscripta, again, it's talking to the senators in the vocative, quae minus, from capimusing, taking a new plan. So this cause should stop us from taking a new plan, or a new, we'll say new plan for now, in primis, in the first place, to start with, puto. So he's thinking, and again, magnem's going to be going with hanc causem. So ego and puto are starting it. So I think this is a great cause, senators, which will prevent us or stop us from taking a new plan. Okay, so this concilium, this planning, was a policy, basically. So perfecto, adverb, assuredly, virtus atqui sapientia maior. So, fuit, there was more virtus, more virtue in sapientia, which is wisdom, in illos, in those people, qui who, from this parvis opibus, from small resources, had fecerade, made tantum imperium, had made such an empire, or such a big empire, you might say, quam, which is then in nobis, So when these people here, they had small resources, they made a great empire. So there was more virtus and sapia in them, quam, than in us, who we vex scarcely retenimus. We scarcely retain a good part of it, of what they had, basically. And the last bit for today is chapter 43. Again, still in quotations marks. Igator. So therefore, placat, it's pleasing, or it's should be decided to demitai eos, to send away them, or the exercitum, the army of Catilinae, to be augury. Usually means increased or something, to be augmented. Minume, leastly, but ita sense, but I think thus. The pecunias eorum, their money, their pecunias, publicandos, should be made public, given into the public treasury. So it looks like the money should be stolen or confiscated, and ipsos themselves, in vinculus habendos, they should be held in chains or something like that, through the municipia. These are Italian towns, municipias. Quae maxume opibus valent. So the municipes, or the towns which have the maxume opibus, the most resources. So he wants to confiscate their resources and keep them in chains in the towns of Italy which are valent, the strongest with the greatest resources. No quiz. Neither should anyone, there is concerning them, postea afterwards, refer them to the Senate, nor agitate, nor conduct them or plead them with the people. So they want to deal with them afterwards. He aliter feceret, he who does otherwise, the senatum should istumo, should think, him, the person who does otherwise, is a contra republic, is against the republic, and the salutum, the safety of all of them, facturum. This is what he should be thought. So he just wants to basically end it there, it looks like, as we are